kind of a chilly, windy, foggy fall day. And for us, the tractors are getting out, the combines, everything's getting out, getting ready for fall, because that's kind of what we do here. Um, but, but fall, especially a day like today, for me, is one of those days where it's a comfort day. So I can snuggle up in my chair. I can make my comfort food. I can come up with things that comfort me. So let's see, for me, my comfort foods, which I didn't realize as a child, this was a comfort food, but my mother made mac and cheese. And she didn't make Kraft's box mac and cheese. I don't even think it was invented then, but we wouldn't have bought it anyway. So big chunks of cheese and milk and macaroni, and cooked it down till it was just thick. And it was good. Probably hot apple cider would be a comfort food. Definitely peanut butter popcorn. And if you don't understand and know the experience that happens with peanut butter popcorn, you haven't lived. So you take Karo syrup and white sugar and peanut butter and mix it all together, heat it up, mix it all together in equal amounts. And then you pour it over a big bowl of popcorn. It is sticky, it is gooey, and it is comfort. So we find comfort in a lot of different things. We find comfort in smells. Some people will say apple pie is very comforting to them, knowing then they can eat it. But comfort, we take comfort in places. I don't have the house I grew up in, doesn't even exist anymore. The farm is still there, but it's not the same. My kids come home and this is home. This is where they've lived most of their life, since Bailey was 1.5 years, and she's the youngest. So this is home. For me, comfort is a lot of people. There's people in my lives that when I'm around them, I just feel good. It's kind of like going back home without having to be a home place. One of my comfort places used to be church. Isn't anymore, because the church culture has changed so drastically that it's not a ministry more. It's a production. It's an event. And it's not a place where you necessarily find comfort. Oftentimes we're uncomfortable in church, which is very sad. But when I can go back to those old days of just where comfort is what moves your heart to relax. And God talks to us better when we're comfortable. God often then makes us get out of our comfort zones. But a lot of times, when we're comfortable and we're just sitting around, when we're having fun with friends, we really open up. And somehow in our culture, we find it incredibly important to have comfort. We want comfort when we, do something to ourselves, like break our leg. We would like people to comfort us. And for most of us women, what we do when we comfort each other is we go visit, we take food, we send cards. That's comfort to us. So it's kind of important for us to be comforted. It's just a need of our psychological being. And I don't think it's lost on God, because Psalms 23 is a whole psalm about being comforted. And it's one that we read a lot when we need to be comforted, when we need to calm our soul, when we need to find a place where God can just talk to us and our heart is at ease. But I think sometimes we really get caught up in my comfort, what comforts me. Philippians 2:4 talks about that. And the verse says, not looking only to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of others. So basically what he's saying is, don't look and worry about you being comfortable as much as you want to give some comfort to others. I really like the way the Message has it. It says, put yourself aside and help others get ahead. Don't be obsessed with getting your own advantage. Forget yourselves long enough to lend a helping hand. When I look outside, I see the world changing. I see the leaves starting to fall. I see the calendar switch to September, which that was a shock. Things are changing and I can't stop it. I can't slow it down. I can't do anything about it except sometimes hold on for the ride. And some of our comfort that we need in our heart is knowing that we have some control. And that's an illusion because we really don't have control. We are at the mercy of an almighty loving God. And that should be what comforts us more than anything that happens to us today, anything that we can do for ourselves to comfort ourselves, anything anybody can do to comfort us. There's nothing as comforting as God's unmerciful grace and the fact that God is in control. The leaves are going to fall. And for some of you that aren't in Minnesota, I'm sorry you don't get the beauty, but there's just something gorgeous about a red maple. It's something really neat about a day like today when it's windy and chilly and you can look out at the bean fields and watch them dry down. It's just absolutely gorgeous to watch the change of seasons. Can't stop it though. And for some of us, we find comfort in knowing that I have some control. You don't. But I do have control of the fact that I trust in an almighty loving God whose grace, unmerited favor to me, will always do for me what's best. And that comforts me. That makes me just sit back and go, regardless of what happens today, I got it under control. So how do we go from being worried about what comforts us to the mindset of looking to the interests of others? Well, part of it is the word looking. We see a lot of things in life. I go down the driveway here and I see the mailboxes, and if I don't turn, I'm going to see them really close. I can turn right and I can head up the road, and that's where Rod and Vicky live, and I get to the blacktop. I see Cass, and I can look to my right and I can see the sewer turn, and I can anticipate there's Manorville. And if I go to my left, I know that I'll get to the railroad track, and I better see if a train is coming, and then I get to. So we see things every day. We look. Sometimes we are looking for things that matter to us and not to the interests of others. So the first big thing is, how do I love people and look at the interests of others more than myself? How do I comfort people? Is to look at their lives. What are they going through? How can I just step in and help? And for sometimes that stepping in and looking to the interests of others is really not any more radical than sitting on the porch and talking. Or dialing up the phone and saying, hi, how are you? Had to call somebody the other day. They're in isolation. I can't go see them, but I sure can call and talk to them on the phone. So when Paul says, I want you to look not only to your interests, not the things just that comfort you or get your advantage, as the message says, but how about you look to the interests of others? You make sure that in their lives, whatever's happening, there is some comfort. So when they sit down at the end of the day, they don't feel overwhelmed and overburdened, but they feel God's grace. And a lot of times, God's grace can only come through my hands and your hands and my mouth and your mouth and my prayers and your prayers. So today, just look around and see who you can comfort. And when you find something that makes you feel, oh, I love that, that just makes my heart relax. How can I go do that for somebody else? So enjoy this beautiful fall day. Of course, unless you're in Arizona or California and Florida, and then you're sweating. But you can still enjoy that. And then you can go invite somebody into your air conditioning and cool off. But really spend the day looking to see how you can look to the interests of others, not just yourself, and how you can comfort someone. And if nothing else, love on them. That always works.